Hi everybody, this is Oksana. Today we're going to be making an adorable little flower that uses a copper washer in the middle there and a little bit of wire and some beads. And this is the one I'm going to be making in this video. It has a little bead in the middle, but I have this one without the bead in the middle so you can see the difference. And before we get started, I just want to say real quick, thank you so much to everyone that has subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't, then I hope that you will consider subscribing, especially if you like wire wrapping tutorials and jewelry making. I post new videos every weekend, so if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified of when I post a new video. So thank you so much. Let's get started. So this is my little box of copper washers that I purchased on eBay. And today I'm going to use the smallest size, which must be this one. It says 5 by 9 by 1 millimeter. And it just looks like this. Now you can, if you want to, hammer it for texture. So you would use this rounded part of a chasing hammer and an iron block and just kind of hit it and then turn it a little bit and hit it, because part of it you have to hold down with your finger or something. So you can't just hammer the whole thing because it jumps all around. Or I guess you could try, but for me it just jumps all around and I have to hold it and just hammer little parts of it at a time. So I'll show you what that looks like once I've hammered it, and it looks really pretty. But then this little kind of practice flower that I made, practicing for this tutorial, you can't even really see that texture. I mean, maybe kind of a little bit, but because of the wires, they're kind of covering it all up. So it probably doesn't make a huge difference. I am going to try to do this one with less wires. Like, I'm not going to put a little wrap in between the beads like I did here. So hopefully that'll cover it up a little less. We'll see. Now I'm going to be using some 26 gauge raw copper round wire. It's just a thin little wire, and I'm going to use it to attach the beads, and purchased it from riogrande.com. And I cut myself a nice long piece. Although probably doesn't need to be as long since I'm not doing the little wraps in between this time, but you can if you want to. I'll tell you how to do that when we get there. Oh wow, this is like 25 inches, maybe a smidge longer, maybe like 26. So I'm going to grab my copper washer. Here it is, I textured it, and I'm putting the wire through, giving myself a nice long end here of several inches. All right, now I'm bending the wire so it's bent down. So essentially, this is my wire right now. Okay, but I have to hold it. And it's kind of hard at first trying to hold everything, but after that it gets a little better. So, and these are the little beads I'm using. They're like these little fake pearls. They're probably 4 millimeters in size roughly. So I'm just gonna take that little pearl and slide it all the way down. And now I want it to stay just like this on the edge of the copper washer. So right now it's kind of touching the edge of the copper washer, and it's staying nicely in place just how I want it to. So as I hold it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend my wire back like this, and that kind of helps it stay that way. So when I continue with my wire, it's not gonna move. So now I'm gonna take the end of my wire here, and I'm gonna put it through my copper washer, and I'm just gonna pull it through. Push it up. Here it is coming through. All right, so here it is. So if you want this to be like my other flower, you would just put it through again. So just have a little wrap with no beads on it. But I'm trying something different with this one to see if more of the copper washer stays revealed, so you can see the texture better. So I'm just gonna put on another bead right away, and I'm not gonna do that little wrap in between. Here comes the bead. So I'm just lining it up here right next to the other bead. I'm holding it because it tends to slide down, so you have to hold it right on the edge there, right on the edge of your copper washer, and put that nice little bend on it before it starts to slide down. So like this. And now we're just gonna take the end of our wire and put it through here to attach this next bead. And then here's my wire coming through the middle. I'm just gonna pull it down this way. And here's my 2 little beads. So I'm just gonna add a third one, and I'm gonna keep going like this. So this is gonna be extremely repetitive, so I'm probably just gonna do this off camera real quick, and I'll come back when I'm ready for like my last bead. All right, so I'm getting close to finishing up here. I've attached all 8 of these beads, and here's my 9th one. So I'm just holding it right as it rests on the edge of the copper washer. I'm pressing on that wire to make that bend in it so the bead doesn't slide now. I'm putting my wire through the middle, and now I have attached my last bead. Here's the copper washer with just 1 wire per bead, and then this one has the extra wires in between. It's kind of up to you what you end up liking better and what you want to do. I think either way the texture kind of gets covered up by the wires, so it's really up to you. So now we have 2 wires coming out the top here. So one is on the back, this one here, and one is here on the front. So that's what we need to attach our little bail. But if you wanted to attach a little bead in the middle, I'm going to show you how to do that. And you can just skip this portion if you don't want to attach the bead, because you're going to end up with 2 wires just like this, but on the other side after you've attached the bead, and then you'll be able to follow along the rest of the video even if you haven't attached the bead, because it's just, we're finishing off the 2 wires in the same way, whether they're here like this or on the other side after we've attached the bead, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to do is this wire that's coming on the front here, we're going to bend it to the back, and the other wire that's coming from the back, we are going to bend it to the front like this. And then all we're going to do is, 1 wire is coming in the front, 1's in the back. We're going to take a bead. This is the same kind of little tiny pearl bead, but it's just green. And as you can see, it fits just perfectly here in the middle. In the back, we just have this wire coming down like this. And you just want to make sure you have 5 beads on one side, 5 beads on the other, and this kind of cuts across the middle. You can kind of spread these little beads around if you need to, if you find that there's like a little gap in between some of them and they need to be more evenly spaced out. Now that I have done it this way, I think the other flower was a little better, where it had the little wraps in between, because it kind of stabilized the beads a little more, so I would probably recommend that way. Alright, so now whether you attach the bead or not, we have 2 wires, 1 on each side, and we're going to make and attach the bail. So for a bail, I have a little piece here of 18 gauge round copper wire. This is a nice thick sturdy wire for the bail, but I was just thinking, I wonder, maybe you can just attach a little copper washer for your bail instead. You could definitely do that if you didn't have a wire like this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little figure 8, and I'm gonna use this 3rd size up for the larger portion of the figure 8. That's going to be for the necklace to go through. And now you just kind of have to eyeball it as you trim this off. or I guess if you trim it a little longer, then you can cut off the excess later. But basically, I just want to make a small little loop here with the smaller size, and that is going to be where we attach those little wires to this bottom portion. So it'll hang like this. This will be the bail. But if you were attaching a copper washer or just a jump ring, it would just be one big circle, and you would attach it just on the bottom of the big circle. That's another option. So I do recommend, if you make your own bail like this out of dead soft wire, that you hammer it, not for texture, but just hammer it with the flat side of your chasing hammer just to make it stronger. So here's my little figure 8 bail after I hammered it. Kind of has a flatter look. And then this is my flower. And these are the 2 wire ends. One is much longer than the other, so I'm gonna cut so they are the same, and it's easier to work with because they're both shorter. So if I come down to my flower here, so that's the back, this is the front, and I determined which way I want the bail to go. If I want it to go like this, so that this little portion here is seamless, because see, there's like a little seam where the wire meets, or go like this, it doesn't really matter. It kind of looks the same. So just do it however you want. Hold this larger bit of it and then put the smaller end just like this in between your beads. This is how it's going to go. Let me move this wire out of the way temporarily just so you can see. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to put that back. So your wires, you want them to cross over onto the opposite side. So if I remove this for a second here so you can see better, this wire from the front is going to go to the back, and this wire from the back is going to go to the front. Okay, and then you want this to go right here in between the beads. So first we are going to take this wire here on the front, and what we're going to do is, it's okay if your bail got tilted, like right now mine's tilted. Instead of going straight up, we can move it straight up later. It's just kind of easier to show you right here like this. So we're taking this wire, and it doesn't matter which side you do it from. You put it through this little loop from. You can do it from the other way, because we're basically just wrapping it around to attach. So we're just pulling it tight, making a nice tight little loop. And we're going to do that a bunch of times to make just a nice tight attachment. So just make sure the wraps don't overlap, that they just kind of fall one right next to the other. Like this. If they're loose, like if they're spaced out, I mean, we can squish them together later. So I would recommend at least 5 wraps, just so the bail is really well attached. I think I'm ending up with a little more than that here, but there we go. Once you're done, we're just going to trim it, but not all the way. We're going to leave ourselves a little tiny wire end. Hopefully you can see my tiny little wire end there, so that you can take that wire end and press it this way. And then just kind of like press it in there, like that. All right, so now you can take your bail and kind of line it up more straight. All right, so now this wire, this is the wire that the little green bead is on. So what you could do for more security of the little green bead is you can put it through one more time through the washer if you did the middle bead. If you didn't, that's okay. Don't do this part then. All right, so now the little bead's not going to slide around, and we're still going to push this wire to the back, just like it was before we did that. Okay, and then here on the back, we're just going to wrap it around this right here, this other edge of it. So basically what we did on the front, but just on the back. So I'm going to use my pliers to help me here, help myself get a nice tight wrap. once you get those first few, it gets a lot easier and everything just kind of stays put a lot better. All right, and now I'm just gonna do it a whole bunch of times. And there's like a huge space between these, so I'm gonna tighten them up a little bit. Otherwise, I'm not gonna have room for more wraps here. There we go. And I was just thinking it'd be really cute to, if you had like a little leaf bead, to attach it maybe here to the bail, but I didn't have one that would fit, and I'm not gonna do it this time around, but just wanted to let you know because I thought that was a good idea. All right, so now I'm gonna trim this just like on the other side, and now we're just gonna take that little wire end and we're gonna press down on it, and we're gonna try to like kind of push it in there. It's very short, so it's not gonna go through to the other side. It's just gonna get there in the middle. You won't be able to see it. So now our little bail is attached, and here's our little flower with the little bead in the middle. I'm gonna push these little wraps together here on the front. If there's anything that you need to rearrange these little beads in any way, you can try to kind of do that. Here's the back of it. We do have this wire just kind of going right across the back. All right, so here are both of the pendants, one where I added a bead and then the one that I just kind of made for practice before making this video that doesn't have a bead in the middle. I think it looks cool either way. I think I do like having a little wrap in between each bead like I did here, even though this is kind of more spaced out and you see more of the washer. I kind of like this better. But it's totally up to you, just giving you more options here. And here's our two little flowers. I think they're really cute. Cute way to use a little washer. So I hope that you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.